So I'm back and I'm here with the directors and producers of this year's Edinburgh International Film Festival, the 77th edition, which runs from the 15th to 21st of August. So I'm here with Paul Ridd, CEO and director of Edinburgh International Film Festival, and Emma Boa, festival producer. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So Paul, in your letter in the program, you say the festival's rebooted, relaunched, revitalized. Talk us through some of how this year's festival is moving in a new direction and what's your new vision for the 77th edition?
Sure thing. I think the first thing to sort of say is that obviously we're very, very aware that we're inheriting a illustrious history, a long history of the festival, and a whole sort of catalogue of films that have premiered here, stars that have been here, festival directors that have come before me, teams that have come before us. So we're very, very sort of aware of the responsibility. I think for us, because we were sort of starting from scratch in many ways, we felt that we had an opportunity to kind of reposition where the festival kind of sits in relation to the wider month of August in Edinburgh. So obviously, as your listeners, I'm sure know, there is, this huge fringe festival going on all the way through August with so much performing art, so much theatre, live comedy, live music happening. And there's so many other festivals that fall in August in Edinburgh. And we see that as an advantage because for us, the idea of integrating more closely into that sort of amazing breadth and depth of performing arts in this beautiful city at that time gives us the opportunity to kind of place our films and our filmmakers alongside all of that creative work. So it's a really nice way to kind of build a closer relationship.
That's great. And Emma, you've been involved in the festival on and off, and this is your second year as the festival producer. I noticed, obviously, locations sort of shifting, some, have to, but shifting into Cameo and Summer Hall, where EIFF is based. Can you talk us through how some of the new venues, why, and what the plan is?
Absolutely. So this is all linked to the core strategy of the revitalized organization, which is to embed itself functionally and meaningfully within the fringe and the wider cultural activity taking place in Edinburgh in August. So we have a brand new footprint. So as you said, we're using the Cameo Cinema as our cinema hub this year. And we're also working with Summer Hall. Our offices are based there this year. And we're also running our programme in the Red Lecture Theatre in Summer Hall. We are also working with the University of Edinburgh over two partner venues. One at 50 George Square, which is right next to George Square in the heart of the fringe footprint. And with that venue, we're working in partnership with Assembly Festival to run that space and to collaborate over the activity taking place within there. And we're also working with InSpace in the School of Design and Informatics, which is right next to Bristol Square. And with that venue, we're working in partnership with Monkey Barrel Comedy Club, again, over a lot of the activity that's taking place in there. So really leaning into the opportunity to take advantage of all of the arts and performing arts and culture that comes into the city in August, and really embedding ourselves within that, making it easier for audiences to move between comedy and theatre shows that they might be seeing as part of the fringe, and then also seeing films with us. This is also reflected in our selling our tickets through the Fringe box office, so audiences will be able to buy tickets through the Fringe website, through the Fringe app. Which again will make our program more discoverable. It'll also make it easier for people just to select things as part of the wider Fringe, program, and take a chance on things as they do in the Fringe.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at festivals like Sundance or Telluride or South by Southwest in the States, and the way they use non-traditional spaces and turn spaces that aren't conventionally cinemas into temporary screening venues with sort of state-of-the-art sound and and an image. We saw that as really a kind of template for what we're trying to do, particularly with these two spaces that Emma's talking about. So the idea of coming and seeing a film in a space where you might not traditionally think of seeing one. So yeah.
Yeah, no, and Cinetopia is very into pop-up cinema events, but I think what's going to be really exciting about this is to see how it transitions, how the Fringe kind of connects with film and bringing the film festival into the Fringe is very, very exciting. So I'm looking forward to going to these venues. I went to school at the University of Edinburgh, so I've been in those spaces a lot, but I'm now interested to see how they turn into film festival venues. So that's very great. So Paul, I heard in another interview you mentioned, from the very beginning with your programming, it was very audience focused. As you're talking about August is a very unique spot for Edinburgh. So obviously a huge international crowd. So I'm trying to think about who you're thinking your audience is. Is it very international? Is it a Scottish Edinburgh group? What was your intention with the way that you programmed the film festival?
Sure. I mean, obviously the clue is in the name in many respects because we're the Edinburgh International Film Festival. So we want to lean into that international element to give a kind of really global platform to films from Scotland, from the UK, but also from all over the world. And then in terms of the audience, I suppose we know that because of this festival's history, there is an audience for the kinds of films we feel passionate about, the kinds of films we want to support. There's that audience already there. I think the main thing with this kind of partnership with the Fringe and this footprint that we've just been speaking about, the main advantage of that is that we hope to attract some new audiences, people who maybe don't know about the film festival or who don't go to film festivals or who don't engage with some of the films that we program or the genres that we program and take a chance on some of the programming that we have. I think because we have this compact program of 37 new features, 4 rep titles, 5 shorts programs, and kind of events and industry bits and pieces. Every single film in the lineup has a really strong reason to be there, and every single film is different. So if you're taking a chance on a film with us, you're going to get something really quality, and that you'll be able to have that same experience that you might have elsewhere in the Fringe, where you go and see a new act or a new play. You're going to be seeing something totally new and different. So getting to those audiences that aren't the conventional film festival audiences is something that's very important to all of us.
And we're screening all of our films as well, 3 or 4 times across our dates, which is giving audiences more of an opportunity to take in as much of our program as possible, which we think is going to make a difference.
Yeah. We're coming in and airing this, quite like 4 or 5 days after you launched the program. And so I know there's quite a few films that have already been sold out, like the opening and closing. But I wanted, as you said, you're running it a couple times, but I really want to talk about these opening and closing because they do kind of mix this idea of international and Scottish, and are really powerful. And as you said, you have a long legacy of really powerful sort of opening films. Tell me a little bit about the Outrun and the closing film as well.
Sure. So, I mean, with something like The Outrun, which is, a film we saw back in Sundance in January, it really is a tour de force for Saoirse Ronan. She delivers an incredible performance in this film. It's a very raw and real and very felt film, and something that we really responded to just as viewers. But we also knew that there was this strong kind of Scottish connection in that so much of it is set and shot in Orkney. The writer of the original book that it's based on, Amy Littrott, is obviously Scottish connected. And, there's also an international dynamic to it by virtue of it being directed by Nora Fingscheid, who delivered this incredible debut a few years back, System Crasher, a German film. So the mixture of that Scottish connection and that international kind of profile, both on screen and off, really made it the perfect film for us. And we're just so excited to show it to audiences.
And we're so thrilled to have, since yesterday, The Untold Story of Scotland's Girl Bands as our closing film, directed by Carla J. Easton and Blair Young. It's a documentary that really shines a spotlight on the unsung Scottish talent, and also deals with very serious themes as well, but in a very rousing and uplifting way. I mean, it's tackling issues of misogynistic industry and sexist society, but bringing this into a very kind of dynamic light as well. And we're really thrilled to be partnering with Girls on Film to co-present this film, made by women about women to our audiences as our closing night.
Right. And speaking of Fringe and late night, you have this whole new sort of side, which has its own opening and closing film. I've been really excited to see this at the closing film of that. But so what's up? Tell us about that. It's a sort of integrating genre film. Is this again your sort of idea of bringing in different kinds of audiences? Tell us about that whole strand and what to expect with that.
Absolutely. I mean, Midnight Madness to us is something that's very sort of close to our hearts as big genre fans. But also we know that the festival has this tradition of late night programming and showcasing genre films. So to have films like Alien Romulus, Fede Alvarez's new Alien film opening, and then Coralie Faja's film The Substance closing, what we wanted with those opening and closing films was to really set out our stall as a strand within the program that is really showcasing the very, very best of genre cinema right now. Something like Alien Romulus is just a total tour de force. It's a really exciting, really scary, completely unique new vision for the Alien franchise. And something like The Substance, which is just astonishing, a really sort of Cronenbergian kind of body horror with really kind of resonant themes around sort of, again, sexism and the ageism of Hollywood, really felt like the perfect film to close on with. And Coralie Fajas is just one of the most exciting filmmakers currently working. Her debut, Revenge, screened in Midnight Madness at Toronto a few years back, and it's just kind of a legendary screening. So having those two films at the top and tail is super, super important. And between that, there's just such a great mix of kind of action films, horror films, comedies. We just love the idea of audiences late into the night coming and experiencing something totally different and new. Cameo.
Yeah, and the perfect time to do it is the Fringe, when the city never sleeps and audiences are taking an hour around the clock. So
yeah, absolutely. And the Cameo is always notoriously known for that over the years. So it's kind of exciting to bring that sort of energy back to such an important venue for the city. You brought in two new prizes. They're big prizes. You sort of announced that earlier in the year. And I'm curious about the films. I think there are 13 world premieres that are within the feature films, and also just sort of the focus on, so to get on short films as well, being incredibly important. So tell me a little bit about what these films are. I took a look at the program, and I'm excited about them, but I want to learn a little bit more.
Sure. Well, I mean, with our 18 world premieres that we have across the festival, what we wanted to do was provide something for our audiences that felt completely new, completely fresh, stuff that had not been shown elsewhere. I mean, out of competition, we have an additional 20 or so films that have played at other festivals or have had their premieres elsewhere, and those films already have the ballast of their incredible responses at other festivals. But for us, the world premieres, and I think in particular the world premiere competition of 10 feature films competing for the Sean Connery Prize for Feature Filmmaking Excellence, those are very important on a kind of existential level to us, because they feature, amongst other things, debut features, second features, films from every conceivable genre from all over the world, and to give this platform to those films and those filmmakers, to give them the opportunity not only to present their films to, the audiences and the industry that are going to be up here at that time, but also to be competing for a meaningful cash prize of £50,000 is very, very important for those filmmakers. I think, having all of those films sort of sit alongside each other, compete over the 7 days of the festival, feels like the actual sort of lifeblood of what we're trying to do, because we're all about adventure and discovery and platforming. So yeah, it's very, very important.
And we're thrilled to be working with the Sean Connery Foundation, who've helped us, supported us in inaugurating this award, and for, all the amazing work that they do across philanthropy and talent development and film education. It's a great honor to be partnering with them across this.
Yeah, and they've been very supportive. Likewise, we have this new Shorts Prize that Thelma Shoemaker, the legendary editor, has graciously agreed to lend her name to. So again, we have 8 short world premieres, the 8 world premiere shorts that are competing for that £15,000 prize. And again, they hail from all over the world and represent lots of different kind of films. So you'll be getting something when you come and see those shorts, when you come and see those world premiere competition films, you'll be getting something that feels totally new.
And speaking of festivals and guests and everyone in town, you have a lot of guests, including Thelma. I imagine locals like Mark Cousins, who's showing his latest film, which has just won a big film festival, world premiered. So it's very exciting guests coming along, right? Gaspar Noé. Very exciting.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I mean, Mark Cousins' new film, A Sudden Glimpse to Deeper Things, is just a really, really beautiful kind of exploration of this sort of artist, Wilhelmina Barnes-Graham, who's a very sort of undersung Scottish artist. And so having a film like that is just fantastic, and having Mark with us to present it will be great. Likewise, as you say, having Thelma and having Gaspar Noé, is such a sort of legendary, iconic filmmaker, come to the city and be part of this thing and do a career talk, feels like we're sort of gesturing outwards and saying, come here, hear from filmmakers, hear about their work and hear about filmmaking on top of seeing all the work.
Yeah. And we'll be announcing more guests a little closer to the festival, along with more information about our industry programme as well.
That was what I was going to ask, because I think what was nice to see is that the industry program is back, or it's there this year, and it's also kind of quite affordable for industry, and it's always been an important part of the festival, but also the local community coming and meeting people. So that's what we're really interested in. So I was just wondering if you could give us a little bit of an idea of what to expect, even if you can't give us all the real.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna sort of tease you, because we don't have a lot that we can sort of publicly say right now about who's coming and what we're doing. But suffice it to say, over the main festival weekend, there's going to be a host of kind of Q&A sessions, panels, career talks, opportunities for networking, and all of our kind of industry guests, our delegates, will be able to kind of mingle with one another. But I should say also, I think by virtue of leaning into this partnership with the Fringe, we're really opening up the possibility of mingling between filmmakers and filmmaking executives, and also people from other disciplines. So there are obviously so many amazing talents who kind of birth their careers here outside of film. But what we love is the idea that we'll create social spaces and moments during our festival when maybe a writer, maybe a comedian, maybe a musician has an opportunity to meet and mingle with filmmakers and people from the world of film. And our dream, I guess, is the scenario where something like that happens this year, and then 2-3 years down the line, we could premiere a film that came out of some kind of collaboration like that. That would be the real dream.
We're really set the interdisciplinary work that a lot of artists work with now. We have Nina Conti's Sunlight in the programme, our Fringe favourite comedian who's made her first written, directed and produced her first feature, and Alice Lowe's Time Stalker as well, obviously one of comedy's best loved stars, has got her second feature at the festival as well. So there's a great pool of talent that's coming in that we're kind of nurturing and putting amongst the wider space.
Yeah, and it will be really interesting to see how this evolves over the years, but it's really exciting to see this new kind of integration for sure. So just final question, what are you personally most excited about for this year's festival? I mean, I know you both and your whole team has worked really hard in a short amount of time to get this up and rebooted, but what are you looking most forward to?
Oh man, that's a difficult question. I think one of the things that I've felt really sort of strongly and passionate about since day one is the idea that, as I say, every film, every short, every piece that's in this kind of jigsaw that we've created for the festival has a place to be there. So all of the films that we watch, we had 2,500 submissions and we watched hundreds more films. So we were very, very sort of selective with our choices. So every film has a real motivation to be there. And there were so many conversations about films that happened with the team, and we sort of had to make some sort of difficult decisions. But in the end, having this program that represents so many different types of film, so many different countries, so many different kind of genres and approaches is very meaningful. But if you're asking me directly, what is the thing I'm most excited about? I would say that the last 20 minutes of Coralie Farjard's film, The Substance, is some of the most outlandish stuff I've ever seen in a horror film. And I think the idea at 2:00 in the morning, when people have watched, the first 2 hours of the movie, and then they're settling into that final stretch, I think the atmosphere there will be absolutely electric. It certainly was in Cannes. I have every expectation it will be in Edinburgh.
Amazing. I'm honestly just looking forward to audiences coming to Edinburgh, going in and buying tickets, watching our films, and the films that we've programmed, and we're so excited about seeing everyone's reactions to them as they come out, and then mingle with other audiences and filmmakers as well. Yeah, it's just really looking forward to all of it.
Yeah, we had a screening last night that we did as a sort of preview of Midnight Madness, of a film called Inner Violent Nature, Chris Nash's new film, which is just a stunning piece of work. And there was a lovely moment where we were kind of outside the Cameo at about sort of 1:45 in the morning. And some people who are obviously horror nerds, but then also some people who don't really watch films like that, were all having a conversation and buzzing from that experience. If we can create that atmosphere, not just in Midnight Madness, but after our competition films, after our Hours of Competition films, after our career talks, that moment where people have had a communal experience and then are talking about the thing they've just seen, arguing about it, thinking about it, that's, for me, everything.
Yeah. Film festivals.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, and it is for us too, and really excited to be there and to be part of that and to see you around at the various venues because we'll be taking advantage of that this festival as well, and we're really looking forward to it. Paul and Emma, thank you so much for taking the time. The program is live and it's on your website to buy tickets right now, or as you said, through the Fringe as well. So anything else you want to let us know?
No, just bring it on, basically.
Okay.
Seeing you all there.
Well, thanks again so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.